So let's go ahead and get this recorded and on the road. Well, welcome everyone to our COABE 2026 presenter office hours. We're so glad that you're here with us today for this webinar. And the big thing we want to say today is thank you so much for presenting. It is a huge honor. I say great on the slide, but it's really a huge honor to have your presentation selected for our prestigious national conference. So thank you so much for presenting at COABE 2026. It is going to be an amazing, wonderful conference this year. So please hear that if nothing else. Thank you. Well, today I'm Steve Schmidt. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for COABE, and I am joined by Michelle Childs Fourcoy, who is the Chief of Staff for COABE. Michelle, what would you like to say to help lead off our presentation today?
I just first and foremost definitely want to reiterate thank you for joining us today. We're excited for the upcoming conference, and please do not hesitate to reach out for at any time for any questions to Steve, not me. No, I'm just kidding. That's an inside joke for anybody who knows me. So we're excited to have you, and definitely here to answer and assist in any way that we can.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. And I have to say, that's a great picture of you. That really captures your essence. That's an awesome picture. They did a great job last year at the conference photographer. Awesome picture.
Thank you.
Well, let's find out who is here. So let's utilize the chat. And this is pretty easy to do. So we've got two questions, and you can answer them both in one chat. And the one is, how many times have you presented at COABE? So you can answer that with a zero, one, two, or however many times. And then you could also say, are you presenting face to face, hybrid, or online only? Or I guess you could answer this, I'm not sure, and we will want to try to find out that today. What the answer for that would be. We definitely want to find an answer to that. So let's see who is with us today. Yeah, but please answer both of those questions. I saw some people answering only with numbers, but answer with a number, how many times, as well as how you are presenting. But welcome everyone, Vera and Courtney and Miranda, Dana, Jennifer, and Mark. All right. Amanda. And Amanda's doing multiple sessions and multiple modalities. Loving it. Loving it. Hector's doing a math problem. All right, Hector. Let's see. Jose, I'm finding it hard to believe you've never presented at COA before. I can't believe that. I cannot believe it. Let's see. Thank you, Janet. And Yesenia. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah,
We got a
very
lot of first-time presenters. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yesenia.
Yesenia. All right. Well, keep me honest. Okay. Keep me
Mhm.
honest. Thank you. Marcella. Oh, Marcella, you probably presented at least five times, I would think. Let's see. Paul. All right. Okay. Susan's presenting hybrid. Leslie's excited about graduation. All right. I'm excited for you. All right. Tim Berrigan, adult education legend. Good to see you. Okay. Let's see here. All right. All right. We got a lot of mostly new time presenters, so first time presenters, not new time, first time presenters would be a better way to say that. Well, welcome, and you're certainly welcome no matter how many times you presented, if any at all, and it's going to go well, and you're going to have a great presentation, and that's why we're going to talk about it today. So let's talk a little bit about logistics and a basic room setup. If you do have any questions along the line, you can certainly pop those in the chat and we will get those. And we have a dedicated question time toward the end, but if you see something, you can pop that in the chat. The basic room setup is very similar. And actually, that is one of the conference rooms you see there on the screen. You'll have a Wi-Fi connection. You'll have a screen and a projector, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And you'll have a podium that has a movable microphone. So if you wanted to get comments from the audience, you can move the microphone off the podium. And if you're presenting hybrid, and I always want to define my terms, hybrid means you're presenting in two modalities at once. In other words, you are face to face there in Indianapolis, but you are also presenting over the Hoover app to an online audience, and you're doing both of those at the same time. So, the hybrid sessions, you will have a laptop already set up on the podium as you walk in, and to make setup easier, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's pretty much how your room will look like at the conference and what you'll have. You should have pretty much everything you are going to need. But your question is, Steve, what should I bring to the conference? Well, let's take this in a couple different ways. Let's say you're presenting in person only. In other words, you are there in Indianapolis and you are presenting to only people who are there with you in Indianapolis. You will want to bring your own laptop in order to hook up to the projector to present your slideshow. And along with your laptop, if you don't have an HDMI plug-in, which most likely if you have a recent laptop, you're going to be okay. We mentioned a lot of these other, adapters. If you've got an Apple VGA adapter, most likely you probably won't need all of that. And the projector should connect very easily to your equipment. I know the exception to this would be I've been an adult for over 30 years, so I know how it works. And sometimes you got the state issued laptop, which was just recently upgraded to, Windows 98, and you may not have the latest and greatest hookup. Then you would probably want to look at bringing some adapters. But if you've got the HDMI adapter, you're going to be okay. So you probably don't need to get in the weeds with all those different plug-ins. And we do suggest presenting in person that you bring handouts. We're going to suggest 45. That doesn't mean if you've got a 20-page handout, you have to bring all 20 pages. What you can do is, I would suggest have at least a one pager that has your contact information, maybe a QR code that would link to your presentation, or a link that would link to your presentation, and just have the highlights there of your presentation. I know copying is expensive, and don't feel that you have to copy all your presentation notes if you've got a big presentation, but just bring at least a one pager, and that'll 45 copies isn't that big of a deal to put in a suitcase or your carry-on bag, and that way you're not trying to load 4,000 pages through the airport.
Well,
So
Steve, also I
yeah.
want to mention there is a FedEx on site, and this one is actually pretty reasonable. I'm just saying they will match any price that you can find online. So that's what they told us, and I'm excited about that myself. Also, your Zoom control bar is blocking some of your presentation. So a couple people have mentioned that in the chat here.
Gotcha. Okay. We have a couple questions in the chat, and Yesenia, there will be speakers to play audio. Yes, indeed. That is definitely there. Do hybrid sessions have a camera facing the audience or the presenter only? It is going to be pretty much facing the presenter. You can angle it, but basically it's there on top of the podium. Pretty much it's going to be showing you. Um, Good questions all
There
there.
will new this year, we will be utilizing owls for the smaller rooms.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yes, so that our online folks can see the people in the room as well.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. So anyway, in person, what we've got there, and hybrid, your a laptop with all the connections is already set up. All you need to do is enter the room for your Zoom. So that will take a little bit of the stress off there. So just select your session and start it. There will be step-by-step directions on a laminated sheet in every hybrid presentation room. And all we would need to do is follow those very easy to follow directions. Um, you will want to make sure your support person, your buddy who you have identified in advance for the conference to help with the online portion of your presentation, that person will make sure they want to have a laptop that's logged into the Hoover app to be able to monitor the chat. So make sure your buddy that you have selected in advance has that information, and we'll talk about that. You will want to bring your presentation in with a
Just let me know. I'm
flash
kind
drive.
of in a
or you could download it, say, from Google Drive, that you've got that. And we would also suggest, since you will have that in-person audience, that you bring some paper handouts or use the FedEx that Michelle was mentioning earlier from there as well for your hybrid presentation. And again, hybrid, you're in the room, and you also have folks that are attending via the Zoom in the Whova app. So hybrid, you're doing two things. What if you're doing a virtual only presentation? Well, you will be presenting via the Zoom app that lives inside Whova. There's a small picture of that there, but it's basically like you are doing a regular Zoom meeting. The only difference being you're using the Whova app's chat capabilities. You're not chatting in Zoom, you're chatting via Whova. So it's just like Whova is playing on the TV there inside the Whova app. And we want to make sure that we pronounce Whova correctly. It is not Wova, it is Whova, like an owl would say. Whova. And also for virtual only, we do suggest that you would have a buddy, if at all possible, to monitor the chat. That would certainly help. Or if you're able to have a second monitor set up, so you have one with your presentation and then one where you can be viewing the chat, that is also helpful. That's not required. That is just a suggestion. It makes life a lot easier as a online only presenter. And Michelle, we did discover this year that when we talked with the Whova folks, that participants, if they're participating online or hybrid, that they can unmute. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is
Yeah.
correct. You do have the possibility within Whova, because it is Zoom. It is Zoom. Now, remember, we do not want to have them chatting in Zoom. They need to chat in the Whova box, chat box, and you'll find out more about that on the app. You'll see there's a chat right next to where you'll be streaming for your online folks. So you have when you're presenting, you will be within Zoom though, and in that you could see your participants. And if you want to allow somebody to speak, you can ask them to unmute, just like I could do any of you if I was in a webinar right now or even during this meeting. So we do have that capability of unmuting some of your attendees.
Thank you, Michelle. So that would be great. So that add a little bit more interactivity with the your participants who are attending online, virtually, call it what you will. Well, let me tell a little story, and that is Steve has had the opportunity over the past year to watch a number of recordings from the conference from last year. And I saw a number of presentations where I would see the presenter realizing they have only 5 or 10 minutes left of their presentation, say something like, oh my gosh, I only have 5 minutes left or 8 minutes left, and I still have 20 slides to go through. And then the presenter would proceed to launch into trying to do the last 20 slides of their presentation in very rapid fire fashion. As you can imagine, probably that is probably not the most effective way to do the presentation. And I am expecting that this year we will not have that problem because we're going to practice some very good presentation tips. And I would say if you do, despite your best efforts, run into a situation like that, please do not try to go through the last 20 slides in the last 5 minutes because no one will get much out of that and you will drive yourself to distraction trying to do that. What I would suggest that you do is certainly plan out your presentation. And we have developed a COABE conference session planning guide. And Michelle, if you would please put that link to that in the chat. This is a document that you can use and make your own, and it will allow you to try to hit your main points. And I always think when we're doing a presentation, we need to begin with the end in mind. What do I want my participants to walk out the door with? What skills, what knowledge, what abilities we want them to walk out the door with? So if you use the session planning guide or whatever planning guide that you use, that will prevent any of these last minute things where you're trying to do the last 20 slides over the last 5 minutes. But definitely spend some time, of course, planning your presentation before you dive in to do that. And Michelle, thank you for putting that link in the chat to the session planning guide. If you're doing a normal concurrent session on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday at the conference, it is 70 minutes, also known as an hour and 10 minutes for you and me. Make sure you're planning accordingly and not trying to tell everything you know about the particular subject within those 70 minutes. I do think it is a wonderful technique to tell stories. Stories are memorable. Your graph with all the students that participated in your initiative is probably not going to be remembered. But if you tell a story about a student in the initiative you're doing and the difference it made with them, that will be remembered. And remember, just because we have a PowerPoint slide doesn't mean we have to throw 46 bullets on it. PowerPoint really was originally created to be a visual medium, and pictures are worth 1,000 words. So please keep that in mind. And remember that bullets kill, and too many bullet points will kill the attention span of your audience. Of course, if you're doing a pre-conference session, you'll have either 3 hours or 6 hours, depending if you're doing a half or a full day, which gives us a lot more time to do and blend in interactive elements to that. One thing as you're presenting to keep in mind is ADC, absorb, do, and connect. What do you mean by that, Steve? Well, that is absorb, you're presenting information. Suggestion, do that in bite-sized chunks, 10 minutes-ish, maybe less than that. And mix in while you're giving information, either a do or a connect activity. What do you mean by a do or connect activity? Connect is your audience, whether that is virtual or in the room, are doing something. They're talking to each other. They're answering a question you've posed. They're talking in a small group. They're using the chat if they're doing the Whova app, or they're doing something. You've given them some type of task to do. Maybe they're answering a question and writing that out, or you've had them to do a role play or a skit or something. So, what you are doing there is you are trying to mix these things together. Absorb, you're giving the information, but you're also letting your participants come up for air every so often by doing something or talking with each other. And then you're continually moving through this. That wheel of absorbing, doing, and connecting is going throughout. So that will make your 70-minute presentation so much more effective. If we instead spend that 70 minutes just telling everything that we know about XYZ, your participants are going to maybe attend for a while, but you're going to lose them after a very short period of time if all you're doing is giving information, giving information, giving information. To mix that up with some the give those participants the opportunity to do something with the information and talk with each other about the material you're presenting, and they will come away with a whole lot more than if we do a 70-minute information dump. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. So I would be thrilled, and I being Steve would be thrilled to do a one-on-one coaching session with you. Generally, we meet for about 30 minutes. And ideally, you'd send me your presentation in advance, and I could take a look at it, or at least your planning outline guide, and take a look at it. I've done many of these over the past several years. And Michelle, if you would please drop the link for the one-on-one coaching sessions in the chat, you can sign up. And I've got a number of times available over the next few weeks. And as you come to that Google Doc, just put your name in and your email and your cell phone, just so I could give you a little reminder call in your time zone, so we can make sure that if you're in Mountain Time, we don't schedule a session at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, so you're up at 3 in the morning, which we will definitely not do that. But I would love to sit down with you and go through your session, and I would look forward to doing that, and I'm thrilled to do this. And this is offered at no cost, free, free, free. But wait, there's some buzz about these coaching sessions. I saw this on LinkedIn the other day. Nicole Fleming, who was presenting at COABE and presented last year, she said Let's see, third paragraph down, she said, I have to give a shout out to COAB for their efforts in making sure their conference sessions are interactive and useful to participants. They offer this opportunity to schedule a drop-in with Stephen Schmidt, which is amazing. So, Nicole, thank you. And let the record show I paid her nothing for her to say that. And go to her session, by the way. She is dynamite. And that information she's presenting about the six trumps of learning. I think the title is something like that is awesome. It's based on the old work of Sharon Bowman that's been around since the 90s, but it is awesome. It will transform teaching and learning in your program. Would strongly suggest you go to that. It is such good information, such good information. Okay, the Hoover app is something that if you don't have downloaded either on your laptop or your mobile phone device or tablet, is something you will want to do. And Michelle, please, if you would drop the link to the Hoover app inside the chat. This will allow you to keep up on the go with what's going on at the conference, as well as interact with many other attendees. And that you can register for going on to sessions. And of course, as a online only or hybrid presenter, you will be using the Hoover app as part of your presentation. So let me do a brief tour of the Hoover app. And Michelle, please make sure that I'm not missing anything as we go through and do this, because I have a tendency to do that. So hopefully you are seeing the Hoover app here, and I have logged in. It will show the agenda for all the sessions that are available each day. You can also look and see who else is attending the session and interact with other people, because they do have a function where you could say hi. And once you have gone on to Hoover, yeah, please go ahead and tell information about yourself. Like my friend Jeff Abramowitz here has given his contact information, and I could view his profile and find out about who Jeff is. You could find out then when he is speaking. He is also a very dynamic presenter and a COAB board member. So he's doing 3 different sessions. He's going to be busy on April the 14th, but you can also read all about Jeff and hear his amazing story, which is pretty amazing. And he can also put in your social account information, web pages that you might have. So definitely introduce yourself with that. There are there is, I should say, a very active community where you can participate with other conference attendees, answer icebreaker questions, pose questions, and interact with a number of different people. There's also meetups that may be happening throughout the conference that people will post on this bulletin board. So it's a great way. And there's some neat conversations going on, like how do you motivate learners? How do you celebrate staff and students? Looks like there's one about packing, overpacking, underpacking, sharing articles, books that we're reading. There's some really cool things on here. So you definitely would want to be part of the communication there. And then as well, there are messages that Hoover will send out frequently and other people might send out in order to make sure that we are taking most advantage of what's going on at the conference. So the Hoover app could keep you very, very busy. There's also a spot where the exhibitors and the sponsors will show what they are doing, and it's always great to visit the different sponsors who are out there. Advice that I learned very early when I was new in adult ed from an experienced person was take a session where maybe you don't see anything that you want to attend and go spend some time with the vendors where they have really time to talk with you and get in the weeds about their product. I've learned so much from various vendors over the years. It is great in order to be able to do. So lots of good things on the Hoover app that you can see, as well as various sessions that we can do. Michelle, what am I missing about the
Why
app?
don't you go under the agenda real quick and show where pick a random session and it'll show you how you could see what room it is, where it's located, how it'll pull up the map and stuff like that.
Okay, so we're in the 15 Laws of Student Retention with Dr.
Hmm.
Teddy. So it does tell us where the room is. So are you
And if
saying if I
you
clicked on
click
the
on it,
room, it would tell me where the room was?
it
Wow.
is. You can zoom in, zoom out, and this will show you exactly where your room's located. This will also help you as a presenter know where your room's located if you don't know. Um, so just in case there's any first timers here and so where is that located again? So this is on the agenda. So if you're looking for your own, you would type in your name and see your session. And under each session, it shows the date, the time, and then the location. Any questions that somebody might have, see on the right-hand side, there's a question or something. And then people who have already saved it to their calendar. So now, mind you, just because they saved it to your calendar doesn't mean they're necessarily attending live that day. If you have a hybrid session, they may very well be attending it after the fact and watch it virtually after they leave the conference. That's the good thing about the conference is anything that's done hybrid or virtual, there's the opportunity to watch it after the end of the in-person conference. So that's definitely a perk.
Definitely. And then this area over in the right is where you would be interacting during the session. You'd be chatting inside the Whova app here on the right-hand side. And it also gives poll functionality. If you'd like to use polls in your presentation, you can launch polls and examine results from the side. Anything else, Michelle, we should be telling folks about the Whova app?
I think those are the main things right now. Also, to be keep an eye out. I know you all received an email. Well, anybody who hasn't updated their bio and pictures and all that, a reminder did go out last night or this morning. I can't remember, but it recently went out for you to update those types of things. It just looks better if you have a photo of yourself, and like Steve said, you put a little meat on what there is about you that will attract attendees to go check your session out. Also, pretty soon Steve will trigger an email out from the app for you to upload documents to your presentation if you want. If there's, and again, you don't have to, but if you have any handouts you'd like on there or anything that you want somebody to have access to have prior to your session, then you can definitely upload it ahead of time. You can also save that link and upload it after the live conference as well for those who, especially if it's a virtual component to your session, for those who will continue to watch it and stuff. Maybe you want to attach your presentation. I always suggest please do that as a PDF. Do not do it as a publisher file or anything like that. You don't want anybody to make any changes to your documents, so don't do a doc or like a publisher file. Please save things as a PDF that can't be changed on you. That way, your stuff remains your stuff.
Good stuff, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit more about hybrid presentations because we did have several in our office hours today who are doing a hybrid presentation. The expectation from the COABN is that you have a buddy. In other words, that you are not trying to be the Lone Ranger and present to both audiences, but you have a buddy. In other words, someone that's going to assist you with the online audience. And that person who is assisting you will monitor the chat and any virtual activities that you choose to do in your session. Not to mention the fact that trying to do and serve both audiences just yourself is going to make you crazy. Let's get a little bit more information about how this might look from a video that we did last year. And Kim Glenn and her buddy from Indiana is going to talk about, oh no, excuse me, from her buddy is going to talk about this as well. But let me turn it over to Kim and she can talk about how you set up for your hybrid presentation at the COAB conference. Kim, are you ready? Take it away.
Hi, I'm Kim Glenn, and I am here to talk to you guys about how to set up for a hybrid session at COAIB. So as a hybrid presenter, the laptop will be here already for you because you're going to be presenting through the Whova app in Zoom, and you want to make sure that you always bring your presentation on a flash drive. So when you put the presentation flash drive in, you're going to want to definitely open it up and then save the presentation to your desktop, just in case anything happens or goes wrong. Once you have your presentation uploaded and on the desktop, you want to make sure that you open up the Zoom app. Usually, COAIB will have that available for you as you come on in. My session is right here waiting for me, which is a lovely thing, and I can actually go ahead and start my meeting right here from the screen. When I do that, it will connect, and then I will have the opportunity to be in a practice session. And that practice session allows me to double check to make sure everything is good to go before we start the live session. One thing that you definitely want to make sure you do is check to make sure you're projecting properly to the screen and you're sharing your screen through Zoom properly. And you can't really do any of this alone. You really do need a buddy to help you out. You're going to need somebody to help you out with managing that chat room, checking in the Whova app, making sure your audience can hear you properly, and definitely using the microphone to go around the room. An important thing to remember is that your virtual audience can't hear your audience members talk unless they are connected to the microphone. So let's go check out what our buddy does.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, and I am the presenter buddy here at COAIB. And my job pretty much is to make sure that the online forum is running smoothly in a hybrid session. As the presenter buddy, it is my job to make sure that the audio is running smoothly and that I am engaged with the chat. This way I can see if there are any questions that participants have that I can relay to the presenter. Additionally, as a presenter buddy, you want to make sure that the presenter screen is also showing on the online forum for participants. If it is not, you want to make sure that you alert the presenter of the situation. Finally, it's essential to understand that in the online forum, the only way participants will be able to hear what's happening in the classroom is with a handheld microphone. This means that oftentimes you may need to walk around the room so that people in the class can use the microphone to relay any comments or questions that the online participants will be able to hear.
All right, thank you, ladies. That was that was awesome. That was awesome. So that will show you a little bit about how things will look. And again, you don't that if you're presenting hybrid, that laptop will already be there set up as Kim was showing. All you have to do is select your session from the screen. And then when you're ready, that blue button at the top, you just click that and that will get you going when your session time is scheduled to start. And a couple of things to keep in mind as I've just watched a number of virtual presentations, as Jen mentioned in the video, you know, if you, I heard a lot of presentations where I see the person up at the podium and I hear somebody talking in the audience, but we can't hear them because they're not on the microphone. So that microphone that's on the podium is handheld. You can pull it off the thing and run it around the room for any comments. And I think it's also great where your presenter buddy can take the online comments and they cannot be on the microphone and say, hey, Sally online said blah, 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 blah. And they present then the online comments to the face-to-face audience. So that is really the way to go. Keep in mind the camera, I guess it'll be a little bit easier with the owl this year, but I've seen a lot of presentations from prior years where we see no one on the screen for extended periods of time or see someone's bald head because they have moved out of frame. So, if you want to show people your bald head, you knock yourself out, but I don't think that's really your best look. I would think people would rather see your face as you go through. I'd certainly practice a little bit with the Whova app before you come in, but you definitely could do this and do this successfully. If you don't have a buddy and you're in panic mode, well, we could help you with that as well. Michelle, if you please put in the chat the link for the I need a buddy or volunteer to be a buddy. This is a dynamic process. There's a Google Doc where you can sign up for this or volunteer to sign up for this as well. And just, please try to arrange that as soon as possible. Again, that is our expectation for hybrid, that you do have that second person. Please and thank you. And share the love. Maybe you could offer to switch with somebody. I'll be your buddy for your presentation. You be my buddy for mine. And I did that the last time that I presented a non-presenter coach session at COA, and it worked beautifully. Dr. Carbon Stewart and I traded off, and I was her buddy and she was mine. So find that person. And adult educators are the world's nicest people, even if you can't arrange somebody in advance. I bet if you got to the session early and asked some nice person in your audience, they would be happy to do that. Just please make sure you have that person, and preferably somebody you have arranged in advance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, a couple thoughts about using ed tech inside your presentation. And this would be especially if you're doing a hybrid presentation, or even if you're doing a in online only, for both those especially. Think about, if you're putting in some type of ed tech tool, what outcomes are you hoping your learners will gain? And just think about, well, what's the purpose of my activity? Am I trying to activate the prior knowledge of my attendees? Am I trying to do a reflection activity? Am I trying to get them to consider next steps? Am I reinforcing some content that I've already taught? Or am I just trying to increase interactivity? And then I can think about what tools to use. The soon to be Dr. Rachel Riggs, I learned from her, goals before tools, and it's about technology supporting the sound educational practices that we as instructors already do. And so think about what my goal is, and then think about what tools might help. We mentioned a couple of potential goals we might have in our presentation, and I could think about those before doing maybe something like a Menti or a Padlet or a poll, or even just a Google Doc where you give editing access to everyone and they come in and contribute to that doc. My strong thought would be, please don't try anything new for the very first time that you've never done before. Make sure it's something you've used before, or if it's something relatively new, that you've practiced for it. It's a great idea if you're doing a hybrid presentation. Do your whole presentation in advance and just set it up with Zoom. Get one of your colleagues to be in another room to pretend that they're the online audience, and do your presentation that way. That way you can check to make sure that everything works and works well. But I would just use the tools you're already comfortable with and that you're already using, that you do in your teaching normally, is a good way to go. We have a number of resources for presenters on the COABE website. And James, our tech guru, did a beautiful job with revamping the COABE website. It really looks great. Did an excellent job. So there is all kinds of things on here. And Michelle, if you could put the link for the presenter resources on the COABE webpage in the chat, please. If you missed the hybrid presenting coffee break that we did a couple weeks ago, which was outstanding, you can still watch it, or you can look at the slides from it. Last week ago, Kim Glenn and Sarah Goldammer and I did a presentation about best presentation practices for COABE 2026, and you could watch that and download the slides as well. Office hours that we're doing today will also live here very soon. Anne-Marie Molinari Saunders, who does a lot of work with accessibility, did a great brief video about making sure your presentation is accessible. And her video, as well as the resources that she suggested, are on there. There's another place where you can access the one-on-one coaching sessions with yours truly. And there's some other great things there as well. There's some specific tools for presenting hybrid presenter instructions. This is still showing last year's document. We will get that updated very, very soon. It'll give you a general idea now, but it'll have the new information here very soon as well. You can watch Steve talk about something else on this video, and it provides several other information here as well. So lots of great resources there on the presenter resources section of the COABE website. Check it out. Check it out. Great job, James. It looks so much better. So much better. Very well done. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, you can, if you would like to, at the conference on the day of, or maybe the day before you do your presentation. I will be on site there in Indianapolis at the Marriott, the conference site in room 307 every morning, bright and early. 7:30 a.m. on Sunday. If you're doing a pre-conference and you just want to walk in, I will show you what your room's going to look like, the tech you'll have. I will go through, I will have my buddy there. I think Aaron's going to be my buddy again this year. And we'll show you about what your situation will look like if you're presenting hybrid or online only or face-to-face, what that will look like. And we'll go through a few other things as well. As a last minute pep talk, I would be happy to give you an entirely appropriate side hug to make sure that you're ready to go for the day. If you have any concerns, I'd be happy to answer any questions. So that'll happen Sunday morning, 7:30. Also Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, bright and early, 7 a.m. Bring your coffee and we'll have a good time. And as well, I'm going to do some new jokes this year. So be ready for that. I'm going to have some new jokes. So it's going to be great. Please join me on site if you want some last minute help. And also, that room will be used, room 307, later in the day for the presenter lounge, where you could come and lounge. I don't know exactly how that will look. I may be there for some of those times, but I don't know that I will be there all the time. But you can come and hang out and lounge, just like those folks are doing there. They're smiling, they're laughing. I'm not sure that there's really any coffee in the hands of that person. They're holding it like it's empty, just like in the Hallmark movies. But anyway, come and hang out in the presenter lounge, and then we could talk in a more informal setting if you would like to do so. Okay, we have time for questions, or we have time for comments. Comments like, "This is going to be my best presentation ever." That would be a great comment. Or questions like, "How many watts does the microphone run?" I don't want to answer that question. Michelle could answer that question. So, Michelle, did we have any other questions that were in the chat that I missed? Or folks can unmute and comment as well. Or you can unmute and ask your question. The floor is yours.
I have a question.
Please, who are we speaking with?
This is Brandy.
Hey, Brandy.
And hi. This happens sometimes at conferences with some projectors or however the slideshows are set up. And sometimes I have issues with toggling back between my PowerPoint and like a browser. Do you have any suggestions for that? It's not a Control-Alt-Tab where I can toggle between different programs. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the big thing is practice beforehand. I know some people like to use Google Slides where it's all on
Oh, that's a good
one.
suggestion.
So that would probably be my best suggestion for that. But I hope that might help.
And if it's not a hybrid, we're using our own computers. Is that correct?
If it's not hybrid, you will be using your own computer. That is absolutely
Okay,
100%.
then I probably won't have that problem. So
You
thank
won't.
you.
It's going to go great. You will have no problems.
Thanks.
We are a positive thinking zone. And Miranda, yes, these slides will be shared. Absolutely, that is true. Will there be clickers for the presenter to click slides? Yes, there will be. Not a bad idea, though, just in case to bring your own, because sometimes batteries die. Although we do have awesome tech support. Those guys, Frank and his team, are on the job, and those guys get there ultra fast, and they can make that happen. But I'd like to, for peace of mind, to always have my own clicker. And I like mine better because it fits my hand, and I don't want to use some foreign clicker that I don't know. So if you feel more comfortable with your own clicker, you can bring it. But there will be. Thank you, Courtney. That's a great question. Let's see. Jose, how do we know what devices in the rooms are presenting the owls, for example? That's a Michelle question.
Right. And I did reply to that I do have a finalized meeting tomorrow with our AV team. So I'll be able to learn a little bit more after that. And I could definitely bring up those details on next week's presenter office hours. And I'm sure we could do a follow-up email that'll go out to all the presenters just to kind of touch base on everything and send the recordings. So, I'll definitely get a solid answer on that. And maybe I can even list what rooms will have the owls or not and what won't. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's another
and
thing where
and
people
again,
had
it
said,
it it only works in smaller rooms. With some of the big rooms, it just wouldn't work well, unfortunately. So,
and that was a situation where people said, we want these, and COAB listened and made those happen. So yeah, make suggestions about things because we are aimed to make things better every year, and that's great that Sharon and leadership saw the need to do that. That is wonderful. And I realize now, Michelle, that you've answered a number of these questions. I'm not sure that Melissa's was answered. There will be only one microphone available, yes. But that way, get a volunteer to, you could have it and then have that, maybe you've got that person that likes to move around and get that person to run the mic around the room. But there is, yes, one mic available. I'm going to have owls in some of the small rooms, correct? Yes, shout out to Michelle to be sure. When will the buddy request be confirmed? That is something where that document is there, and generally we'd ask that if it's confirmed, put it in red text. It just depends on who signs up and when they do that. That's a dynamic, ongoing that changes up to the date of when you're doing your presentation. So that's hard to answer that question. That question it'll be confirmed when someone signs up in order to do that. Let's see, are the owls on secure tripods? Was that answered? Yeah, I don't know that we have that answer to that yet.
yeah, not yet. I said I'll be sure to ask that question and get an answer, but again, I don't
Okay.
know. Mhm.
Can we rearrange the chairs in the room? And Michelle says, "So back." Okay, very good. If you want to
Yeah.
replace 45 chairs, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, good old Paul. Hector just sent me a good reminder to remember to bring your own converter if you need it. If you're bringing your laptop presentation and you need it. Luckily, most of the hybrid sessions are going to have laptops already set up, so you probably won't need that. But, for depending on what you're using in an in-person room, I do know some people who bring like their own little mini speakers and stuff like that. Then you're going to need the converters and stuff for that. But otherwise, we should be all set with those connections in the hybrid rooms.
And we can see in the chat where Joanna and Leslie are working about doing the buddy switch off. So there
I
we
love
go.
it. I love that.
Well, Jose, you're a tech guru to be sure. We everyone needs a buddy. I don't care how good you everybody needs a buddy.
Oh, so Jose signed up as a tech volunteer, I see. No.
Yeah, Jose, I would feel 1,000,000% comfortable with Jose in the room in any tech I was doing. He's awesome. He is awesome. Yep, everyone needs a buddy. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. Other questions? You can still unmute and ask. You can still put one in the chat.
I do have something I want to bring up before we go too far. And when we spoke earlier about the sessions being 70 minutes and to plan accordingly, we did 70 minutes specifically instead of 60 because we wanted to allow time. Sometimes sessions that aren't vendor sessions are sponsored. That's one of the ways that COAPE can help put on a conference is defraying the costs with sponsorships. So I want to let you know that, and like it said in the call for presentations when you signed up, that there may be a chance that your session will be sponsored. If we should be able to send an email out to everybody. So if your session is sponsored, please expect an email. Also, you will probably see a person added to your session inside Hoover. And if they're from Essential Education or Burlington English or, something like that, that's probably a good um, indicator that your session was sponsored. And what that means is they have a few minutes that they could spend at the beginning just to kind of like introduce themselves and then turn it over to you. That again, like I said, it's something you could work out at the beginning with the sponsor. Like if you want to just let them open it up or if you want to introduce them, that's fine. I've seen it done either or way, but it's just a few minutes to where they say a few words, especially if their company aligns with like what you do and stuff. That's great. It's options, and we appreciate everybody being cooperative with that, you know. If and if you have any questions, you know, you can always reach out to us, either Steve or myself, and uh, if there's any issues, but you know, emails will be going out shortly if they haven't already. I have to check with my staff, but on what sessions will be sponsored.
Did you see the question, Michelle, from Jose about do the sponsors decide what sessions they will sponsor?
They do. They do get to decide that. They pick them out. So if you're picked, I'd feel pretty special. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I know a dog food company wanted to sponsor my sessions, but we didn't think that that was very adult ed appropriate because I knew my sessions
Nice
would go
one,
to the
Steve.
dogs. But
Nice.
anyway, Jen, I'll shoot you an email offline about the Padlet there. I cannot do six things at once. I can only do five.
Um,
Other
and
questions?
I'm just
We've done
putting
a good
our
job with wait time here.
emails in the chat and
Yes, then thank you for putting my contact information there. Yeah, please don't email Michelle unless it's an
yeah.
emergency. She's got
Please,
8,462 emails.
if
I
you
have
still,
less.
yeah, if you have some emergency changes you need to your sessions, I ask you to please contact support@coabe.org with your changes or requests. She has been assisting me. Her name's Mariah. She does a really great job, very responsive, and she will make sure to get that done for you.
All right, wonderful. I think we have a closing comment or two. So Steve, when he does webinars, always talks about what the research says. So did a lot more research, and this was actually a meta-analysis where we looked at a number of research studies to see the commonalities. And the research says that the analysis shows that you, COABE presenter, are awesome. And take it from the cat wearing the glasses. That looks very scientific. You are awesome. And thank you again for presenting, and your hard work and commitment is appreciated and does not go unnoticed. We do thank you that you make the conference be the excellent learning opportunity and networking opportunity that it is. And thank you, and thank you again. We will see you in Indianapolis, or perhaps if you're not able to attend face to face, we can certainly interact over the Whova app. Michelle, any other parting words that you'd like to say?
I think you touched base on everything. Thank you all very much. Excited for the conference in a couple weeks here. I can't believe it's already here. I say a couple weeks, which means 2 days in my mind. So very excited and just can't wait to see everybody there and all these wonderful presentations. So thank you all so much. We appreciate you taking the time. Again, this recording will be up and the PowerPoint will be up on the website for you to look at and review. If you have any questions, the emails are right there in the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you at the conference.